I don't think I should start immediately. Just give it. Assalamu alaikum everybody. Welcome to YouTube Live for HIC. My name is Anjum and I'll be teaching you how to do Black Forest cake and how to put it together. I would like the opportunity to thank HIC for allowing me to do this and teach you guys how to put this thing together. It's a super easy recipe. All Black Forest cake is make chocolate cake, whipped cream, and the cherries. We're going to put the whole thing together and I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's begin. You do not need a KitchenAid to make the cake. You do not need a handheld mixer. All you need is a large bowl and you must sieve your ingredients, dry ingredients. So you need measuring cups, measuring spoons, all-purpose flour, white granulated sugar, cocoa powder, baking soda, salt, eggs, milk, oil, coffee, and a little bit of vanilla if you like. All right, let's go ahead and start. You need 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Tip number 1, never ever press your flour. Let it be airy and fill the whole cup. That's 1, 1/2, 1/4. You need 2 full cups of granulated white sugar. You need 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. Any kind of cocoa powder works. I'm using Dutch. A little bit of salt. Whenever you deal with chocolate or any kind of coffee ingredients, or any coffee dessert, chocolate dessert, you always want to put a pinch of salt. You need baking powder and baking soda, 1 1/2 teaspoon of each. The ingredients will be mentioned below, so if you guys miss out on anything, it is going to be listed below. So 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, and that is it. All right, so we have at the moment put together all the dry ingredients. We have all-purpose flour, cocoa powder, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and we are going to sieve it. It is very important to sieve because you have all that, lumps. You cannot see. I hope you can see now. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and put together the wet ingredients. We need 1 cup of milk. You can use whole grain milk, you can use skim milk, any kind of milk. So we need 2 eggs. That's 2 eggs right in there. We need 1 cup milk. We need 1/2 cup of oil. Any kind of oil that you like, no big deal. Or could be olive oil, vegetable oil. Okay. We need 1 cup of coffee. You can skip the coffee if you don't want to have coffee. You need 1 tablespoon of coffee to a cup of water. I'm not going to measure, but 1 tablespoon coffee. And then whatever coffee you put in here, you're just going to fill up 1 cup of water. Okay, done. This is a super easy recipe. Literally just dump everything in one bowl and you're good to go. A little bit of vanilla. Again, a teaspoon. I don't measure, but a teaspoon works just fine. All you need is a whisk. Now, this recipe, since it has baking powder and baking soda, you do not want to take your sweet time. You do not want to leave the batter just sitting here. You cannot freeze the batter. You cannot fridge the batter. You have to just mix it and put it in the oven. Oven is switched on at 350 Fahrenheit and the pan goes in the middle rack. Okay, it's a very liquidy batter. Okay, that's it. We prep the pan. When you're making chocolate cake, it is very important to use parchment paper. Now, you guys probably don't have round shaped parchment papers, but you cut it out in a circle shape and put it in the pan. I'm using cake goop to brush my pans. Cake goop is 1 cup all-purpose flour with 1 cup of shortening with 1 cup of oil, and I whisk it together. And it becomes like a nice, thick, pasty-looking thingy. I use this cake goop for all my cakes. Basically, anything that goes in the oven. If you don't have cake goop, no big deal. Just put butter and some flour. I remember when I was young, my mom would give me that job. I would dunk my hands in butter, put it in the pan, do all the nasty stuff. But anyway, kind of graduated. I used a brush and cake goop. Put your parchment in there, nice and snug. The cake goop or the butter will allow the parchment paper to stick. I had someone in my other life class who did not stick the parchment paper correctly. That will cause the cake liquid batter to go in the cake pan and it's going to stick and cause a whole mess. Okay? Prepped, done, ready to go. And you just fill it in. If you look at your batter right now, you should see bubbles. That means the baking powder and baking soda is doing a good job. The baking powder and baking soda is what causes the cake to come up. And you do not want to fill your cake all the way up. I'd say half of the size. This is how much I leave empty. Now, you can make this in round, you can make this in square. This is 6-inch pans. They are pretty tall. Most of you probably don't even have this kind of pan. So if you have regular pans, 6-inch pans, you can have 3 6-inch pans, 2 8-inch pans, or 1 10-inch pan. Baking for 350 Fahrenheit, middle rack for about 30 to 35 minutes. If you're using a sheet cake pan or any larger pan than this, it will bake for lesser time because larger surface area to volume ratio, it will cook faster. Kind of common sense. Okay. If you have a dark color pen, reduce your temperature to 325. All right, one more thing I want to add about baking. When I was cooking live, some of the things that people were doing was once you put the cake in the oven, please don't turn it on. Do not open it. Do not open the oven. Do not just leave it. Just let it be. There's a reason why the ovens have a window. There's a reason why ovens have a light. Switch on the light. Sit on the floor. Watch it through the window. But do not open the oven. Do not open it because there's a whole reason why the heat is formed and everything is working together. You don't want to mess that thing around. Okay? So 5-minute mark, keep an eye on it, put the timer on, and keep an eye on it. All right, cake is done. If you guys have any questions, let me know. You can post it. All right. I already made a cake so that I can show you guys how to put it together. Just gonna clean up a little bit. So when your cakes bake, all right, when your cakes bake, this is what they're supposed to look like. A lot of people, when you bake, okay, let's say you have an event on Saturday, you want to bake Saturday morning, you want to do everything Saturday, you want to cook, you want to clean, you want to make a cake, you want to do everything on one day. It doesn't work like that. You have to take your time. So I would say bake on Thursday night, let the cake rest for 30 minutes, let it just come down, then cover it with saran wrap and put it in the fridge. Okay? This allows the cake crumbs to just rest. Just let it just be. You don't want to rush. Cakes are not made in one day. Just saying to a lot of you who think I make cakes in one day. Those last minute, goals. Okay, so this is the cake. You need a knife. You should release the edges. Alright, so I'm not going to make both the cakes. I'm going to make just one cake because it's going to be way too much cake for me, okay? But this was baked last night and I'm using it today, alright? It's released. Take out your parchment paper. Never ever forget to remove the parchment paper. Trust me, been there, done that. Okay. You need a cake board. If you don't have a cake board, you can use a tray, a plate, whatever you have. Take your cake. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to use this. This is one tool that I have been using this for almost 10 years now, like a long time. It's really nice. You can control the height of your cake or how you want to cut it. Okay? So we're just going to do that. It's beautiful. Okay, that's done. It's a very easy process once you have the right tools. All right. Now, coming to cherries. There are different kinds of cherries that you can use, okay? It's preference, what you actually want. So let's talk about maraschino cherries. These cherries are easily available, cheap, but they don't taste really good. But it's preference. So I'm not going to be using this. So if you decide to use this, go ahead and sieve it, separate the water from the cherry, use the syrup as on the cake layers, and use the cherries on the cake. This is another plan B. If I don't have plan A, plan B. Plan B is a cherry pie filling. It's very jelly-like. You use the jelly to spread on the cake for a little bit of moistness and then use the cherry between layers. Okay? My favorite one is Morello cherries. Morello cherries is not easily found and is expensive. It's about $7 a bottle, but it tastes good. It gives it good flavor. Okay? So we're gonna separate this. There is a complicated way of making Black Forest cake where you separate the liquid from the cherry, and then you take the cherry, you cook it down with a little bit of sugar, and you take the liquid that's collected, put it in a pan, cook it down with the sugar with a touch of lemon, and reduce it. I don't think anybody over here wants to do all that, so I'm just going to teach you the easy version. Okay? So you want to collect the cherries, and this is the liquid. Okay. So cake is done, cherry filling is done, everything is ready, and now we got to go ahead and make heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream has high levels of fat. So when you make a cream, when you whip it, it is very loose, like it's very soft. So to make it stiffer, make it thicker, we're going to add icing sugar or confectioner sugar. Okay, so you take that, get the whipping cream. Any brand of whipping cream, heavy cream. No, you cannot use Cool Whip, so don't ask that question. About one and a, again I don't measure, but 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 whipping cream, heavy whipping cream. We're gonna whisk that with a KitchenAid, of course. KitchenAid. You need a whisk attachment, of course. Did you put in fridge overnight before loosening it? Did I put the cake in the fridge overnight? Yes. Yes, you must always put the cake in the fridge overnight. You cannot bake the cake in the same day and decorate it the same day and do everything in the same day. It doesn't work that way. You have to allow it to rest and come together before you cut it, fill it, and put it together. I'm going to whisk this heavy cream until it's kind of like come together, and I'll put some heavy confection sugar. I'm going to put 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. Kind of increases in sweetness and makes it stiffer. Setting it on high. Okay. Can't really show you inside the bowl, but see how it's so thick? See? See? Then you know you're good. Yeah? If you want to make it even more sweeter, you can. It's up to you. Powdered sugar done. Alright. Did you use cold water with the coffee or do you need hot water? Hot water is preferable, not hot water. Warm water is preferable because warm water always acts good with cocoa and chocolate. But if you're in a rush, it's okay to that. See? It's nice. Huh? It's nice and thick. Okay. Now, Black Forest cake is actually made with alcohol. They put cherry liqueur in it, but we're gonna be good. We're just gonna use this liquid that we took out from the can. If you find that this is too sour, you can add sugar to it. You can add simple syrup to it. Now this is the good stuff. You don't want to omit this step. Kind of makes it nice and moist. Okay. Pour the same thing to the other layer. Plus, it's always easy to work with cakes when it's cold, rather than when it's soft and the crumbs are soft. It is difficult to work with a cake like that. Okay, so cake is done. We are going to put a little bit of cherries. You can be as generous as you like. You can use one 10-inch, just make it nice and rustic. You can make 4 layers. You can make just 2 layers. It's up to you. If you guys can make the complicated version where you take these cherries, put it in a pan, add a little bit of sugar, cook it down, if you like. Oops. Goodness gracious. It's really good. Okay. When you put this together, you want to avoid putting it too much on the edge, okay? Because it's gonna fall and it's gonna make a mess. Collect it in the middle. Just make it pretty. That's it. Then you're gonna take a little bit of whipping cream. Okay. Just gonna spread it around. You can put a lot, you can put a little bit, you can be generous, you can just okay. Just do that. It would be nice if you guys had a turntable. If you guys like to bake a lot, a turntable is always nice to have. It makes life simpler. And I'm going to take the remaining. You can make it a very rustic by just leaving it on top here. and putting some chocolate shavings on the top. Chocolate shavings also, you can just break down a flake chocolate. You break down a flake chocolate and just put it on top. Or you can complicate things like how I usually do and make it pretty. Huh? I don't know how to show you this, but when you're using, it doesn't have to be a fancy spatula, okay? You never want to move your arm. You're moving your wrist, okay? And you use your one hand on the turntable, one hand on the wrist, and all you're doing is turning the table, okay? It's flat. Turn the table. I hope I'm making sense. How long do we bake the cake? 6-inch cake bakes for about 30-35 minutes. Middle rack 350 Fahrenheit. I don't know what pan you're going to use, but mine is 6-inch. Again, flat. Now, if you don't have a spatula, you can use a ruler. You can use a knife. Okay. All you're doing is putting this flat against the cake, and you turn the turntable. Let the turntable do the work for you. Okay? I don't know why people really like Black Forest cake. It was very common back home. Every cafeteria, every restaurant, every cafe had Black Forest cake. It's like, okay. It's like going to every American restaurant and finding cheesecake. Same thing. All right. We keep going. Keep making it pretty. Now, I have a scraper. You can use a scraper, you can use a ruler, you can use a knife. You don't have to get fancy. We're going to cover the edges with chocolate anyway. Okay. There are various ways of making this thing pretty. I'm just going to show you the chocolate shaving method. Okay, done. Question. Does the frosting ever become liquidy as you cover the cake since it's made with heavy whipping cream? Yeah, that's why I said put confection sugar, powdered sugar. I used 1.5 cups of heavy cream to a half a cup of confection sugar, or if you want to add more, you can. You control the stiffness that you want. Okay, so this is my cake. I'm going to go put it in the freezer so that we can work faster, but you would put it in the fridge. Okay, be right back. All right. Remaining whipping cream can be have when I eat this at night. I'm going to keep it. Okay, so now we're going to make the chocolate part. The chocolate part is probably the most daunting part for a lot of people. It looks scary, but I'll teach you how to summarize it. Okay, let me just clean up. Do you have a Facebook page? I do have a Facebook page. It's called Let's Bake Together, where I teach live. I also have my Rosy Cake page on Instagram and Facebook, where you can write to me and question. Same questions if you ever need anything. All right, chocolate. Let me collect everything. Give me a second. Ask questions as I'm prepping for the next. Okay. Like that. To make the chocolate, you must have parchment paper. You must have parchment paper. You must have like a tray or like a chopping board. I'm sure everybody has a chopping board. A knife, a spatula, a spoon, a ruler, anything, a board, like a thick board. Chocolate. Now, a lot of people get scared with chocolate or working with chocolate, how to make it fancy. So I found this brand called Almond Bark, and what a lifesaver it is. It comes in dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and white chocolate. So a little bit about chocolate is, I'm kind of going to get into the chemistry of chocolate, but dark chocolate has high cocoa to butter. That's why dark chocolate takes longer to melt and it has a very good snap. In comparison to milk chocolate, if you go by like, let's say Dairy Milk or any store-bought chocolate, the amount of butter is very high to cocoa. So it doesn't have a very good snap and melts very quickly. That's why it's very young. Like Nutella. Nutella has very high levels of fat, very high levels of oil. That's why it's very, like, the good stuff. Okay? So I'm going to use my almond bark. Also melting chocolate. Now, almond bark is already tempered. One of a very complicated word, tempering chocolate. Chocolate, like tempering chocolate is a whole different story. Forget about that. This is already tempered. So when you melt almond bark or any kind of chocolate, you want to melt it in 30-second increment. Only 30-second increment. Okay? So you need a bowl. Put your chocolate. This was just leftover chocolate from last time. You need a sharp knife. Okay. We're going to break the chocolate in. Okay. Break it down. I'm going to heat this up in the microwave for 30 seconds and then we go from there. Now for the chocolate shading part, there are different ways of doing it. The different ways of making it fancy. If you take chocolate, take your knife, you can just create like pieces. All you have to do is put pressure on the edge, okay? Just like that. I don't know if you can see. Like that. Or you take a peeler and you just peel. Now the secret to this effect is that your almond bark or any chocolate that you use has to be room temperature. It has to be room temperature. It cannot be a cold chocolate. It won't be the same. Okay, you peel against you or you peel towards you and you get all those pretty flakes. Okay. So I'm going to make a little bit for my cake because I know people in my family like chocolate. So I better just prep. You can even use a grater. But if you really had to simplify life even more, just buy a flake chocolate and just break it in pieces and just use that. Okay. I think it should be good. So if you ever go to the supermarket, always buy an almond bark. It always saves life. Okay. I'm going to collect this. You don't want to touch this too much because it's going to melt. So avoid touching it too much. Okay? We're going to save that. Clean up. 30 more seconds for the chocolate. If you're using milk chocolate, then you want to keep an eye on it because it will melt faster. I use semi-sweet or rather dark, so it will take a little longer. Any questions, anybody? Now, parchment paper. Since they're so wide, you wanna kind of measure the width of your cake. If you're going very tall, then you keep tall. If you go short, you keep short. Okay, so I'm dividing it in half-ish. Okay, just so that I know what in order I'm doing. Okay. Okay. We've already done 30 seconds. And I would do one more. Or two more. Never rush chocolate. Okay. The cake is in the oven, one is in the freezer, whipping cream done, cherry done, chocolate shavings done. We're gonna prep the chocolate decorations. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Very easy if your chocolate is tempered. If you know how to temper chocolate, if you don't know, just buy almond bar and it will work just fine. Okay. It's nice and melty. There are various ways of decorating a cake with chocolate. Like we can make it fancy, like draw a whole lace, pipe it out and stuff like that. But I'm just going to show you two methods. One is when you just put a dollop, again, spatula, knife, or spoon, or whatever you have. Spread it out as thin as you can. Now remember, the line that I made, you don't want to exceed the line. Okay? You want to spread it nice. You do not need to be a pro to do this. Anybody can do this. Okay. Now, same spatula. I'm going to make lines on it. No rhyme or reason, just cut it. Okay. That's option one. Option two is going to take the same chocolate. Take a spoon. You take a spoon and we are going to put dollops. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't have to be too much, just a little bit. And then using the same spoon or a spatula, just take a spoon and just do that. Okay. That's another way of doing it. dollop. Then you take, again, you want to put your spatula flat and then pull against. Okay? This would be the easiest methods. Now, if the chocolate is tempered, you will see that it's kind of drying. So I'm going to put it in the fridge so it kind of, the process goes faster. Now, so before you start, you want to make sure that your chopping board or your tray fits in the fridge. Yeah? Okay, just give it a few seconds. Again, any questions before we continue? It's a very, very, very easy cake, very simple. If you guys ever make the cake, do post it on my Let's Bake Together page, and please do tag HIC. We would like to see what you've made, what you've come up with. I'm gonna go get the cake from the freezer and we'll check on the chocolate. All right, this is my cake. Oh, thank you, Momtaz Auntie. You're amazing too. I saw your new recipe on the avocado roti or something like that. I haven't looked at it, but I will. All right, when your cake is ready on the board, very important is presentation. A lot of you just make cakes like chotara vera, you know, like just make sure your board is clean, your tray is clean, decor is clean. Doesn't have to be pro. If it's clean, it's super. All right, so we'll use the chocolate shavings first. You gotta be quick with this because you don't want to mess around with your hot hands, okay? A bit on the edges. I'm just gonna go with it because you can never go wrong with chocolate. I'll just spread it around. Make it pretty. Now you could use an extra whipping cream and pipe borders on top, pipe swirls on top. But I'm just gonna leave it with this. Again, clean your edges. Okay, let's check on the chocolate. So you guys can see. Okay. I'm going to use these. See, it's easy to handle. If you're in a rush, put it in the freezer. Okay. Like that. See how nicely it comes on? How you cut it is what shape you're going to get. Okay. So if you want to cut thicker ones, you cut thick. You want to cut thin, you cut thin. However you want to cut it. You can just snap it if it's too long. You can put strawberries on top, you can put cherries on top. Just do your thing. Okay. I'm going to use the thicker ones to just go on top. Thank you. I wasn't able to find fresh cherries. Otherwise, I would have put that on top with a touch of gold. Because you can never have enough gold. But yeah. If you have anything remaining like this, don't trash it. Save it. So if, like let's say I have this remaining in a bowl here. Okay. This would be another tip. Is I could move this on the side. I would dump it all on the parchment paper. Okay. Because I know I will use it again on some other cake. Do that. Take your spatula, just spread it out. Once this thing dries, it'll be easy to break it in pieces, put it in a Ziploc bag, store it in the fridge for another event. This chocolate is also really good for chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate covered pretzel sticks, whatever you want to do. The thicker you spread, the longer it will take to get like dry. So I'm just going to leave this to just get hard, put it together in a Ziploc, put it in the fridge for the next event. And that's it, the cake is done. If you want, you can put strawberries on top, you can put cherries on top, put sprinkles, put flowers, make it pretty, do your thing. But this is ready. Do you guys have any questions, anything for me? And we are all done. I really wanted to thank HIC Lifestyle for letting me be here, giving me this opportunity to bake and teach you guys live. I started teaching live on Facebook when Corona started, so it has been a good adventure. I love teaching, so thank you for allowing me to be here. If you guys have any questions, you can write to me on Facebook page. You can write to me on my Let's Bake Together page. Put the cake pictures there. Comment to me, write to me, or you can write to me on Instagram. But just remember the tips that I've given. Bake one day prior. Don't do everything on one day. Let the cake bake. Don't flip the pan. Immediately when it's hot, you're gonna break it. And almond bark, lifesaver. Don't forget the powdered sugar in the whipping cream. How much cocoa powder? A half a cup. Half a cup of cocoa powder. The description and the ingredients are mentioned below. It has been typed out for you guys, so if you guys need the recipe, it has already been listed below. So you can just copy paste. Just take a screenshot. Alright? Yes, recipe in the description below. Alright, thank you so much guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you HIC. I gotta go now. Bye. Classes.